Hello. This brief video will walk you through how to use the County Nuts app to conduct an unsheltered survey when taking part in the West Virginia Balance of State point in time count this year. Now, on your screen now, you'll see instructions for downloading and getting started in the County Nuts app on your device. These instructions are also available via our email, pit@wvceh.org. You can find them on our website, wvceh.org, or your county captain can provide you with this information as well. So once downloaded, you should be able to find the County Nuts icon on the screen of your smart device. So all you have to do is just tap on the icon and it'll go into the app. Now, if this is the first time you're downloading it, you may find an initial registration screen you have to do. So once you're logged in and go through that initial registration process, it'll bring you to the app up and should see this home screen, and you should see a green button that designates the current count that you're counting for. So let's just tap that button. And now we see the 4 surveys that are available to us. We see the known location survey, the unsheltered survey, the unsheltered person observation tool, and the sheltered survey. The known location survey is a tool we use prior to the count night, and we've already set instructions on how to use it. Now, please note that in today's video, we'll be focusing on conducting an unsheltered survey in the app. However, pretty much the same rules apply for when doing a sheltered survey as well. Now, a little later on, we'll also look at the unsheltered person observation tool. But first, let's jump in and look at the unsheltered survey. So all we'll have to do is tap on unsheltered survey. And we're first asked if we're conducting the survey on an individual or a household. So let's say we're doing it on a household. We are then asked how many adults and children are in the household. So let's say 2. Now the next screen will show our current location. And of course, this is based off our current location where we're doing the survey. The system will automatically locate and drop a pin where we are. Alternatively, you can also enter the address of where you're conducting the survey, and that will drop a pin. So now, once we have our survey location set, we can just hit next step. And the first question that comes up on our unsheltered survey is, have you already been interviewed today for the point in time count? We ask this question so we can avoid duplicated survey responses. So if you were happen to say, if the respondent would happen to say yes to this question, you'll be prompted to end the survey. So we'll go ahead and we'll say no. And then next, we're asked about sleeping location because we want to ensure that they're actually experiencing unsheltered homelessness as opposed to sheltered homelessness, or they might not be experiencing homelessness at all. So we want to make sure that we select an unsheltered situation. So for here, we'll say abandoned building. The next section is just for personal information and demographic information. So we can enter that information in these fields, such as the respondent's first name, their last name. And if you can't get their first name or last name, you can at least try and get their initials. Then we can ask their gender. And then we have 3 questions here that deal with their age. So we have the question for date of birth. But if we can't get their date of birth, we can ask them what their age is. And if we can't get their age, at least we need to get what age range they fall into. So we'll just answer here 35 to 44. Now, keep in mind that we need to answer at least one age-related question to be able to submit our survey later. It's one of the few required questions needed. Next, there's some questions here concerning race and homelessness history. And then, based off our answers to the first questions, we may be prompted to have additional questions asked. Once those are answered, we see a few additional questions about how long the client's been in the community, if they're experiencing homeless, if they have experienced homelessness previously, if they're experiencing homelessness due to COVID-19 or as a result of a natural disaster. So we answer those accordingly. Now, since our survey respondent in our example here is over the age of 18, there's a few additional questions that pop up that we have to ask about disabilities and questions concerning domestic violence history, as well as a question concerning veteran status. So we just answer these questions accordingly. And we're getting close to the end here now. We have some additional questions here concerning the possible contact information that they may provide so that outreach staff can touch base with them later. And that's a question for their phone number or a way to reach them via email or social media. And there's also a notes section down here at the bottom that if there's any additional notes you want to include on the survey, you can. And then once you're finished, all that information on the survey is complete. We just tap the submit survey button, and then the survey gets submitted to the command center to go into our full PIT report. So we'll just hit submit survey, and we'll get notification that this response was successfully submitted. But since we selected that we are surveying a family or household, we want to conduct a survey on each member of the household. So next, it'll go right into the survey for the next household member. So first, we have to select the relationship to head of household. And so we just need to select the correct relation from the list. So let's say spouse or partner. And then it'll ask questions of have you already been interviewed for this point in time count today? So again, we'll say no. And we'll select our sleeping location on the night of the count. So again, we'll say abandoned building. And then the same survey questions pop up as before. The questions around personal info. And again, I'll put in an age range. History of homelessness questions and the additional questions. And also the questions around disability, veteran status, domestic violence history, etc. Now, once you've finished filling out all the questions on this survey, you can again hit tap and submit survey. But instead, let's say that we're out in the field and we're conducting surveys and we're in a place where there isn't adequate cell service or we're not connected to Wi-Fi and we're not able to submit our survey. What are we going to do? That's right. We can tap on Save Draft, and what happens there? If we hit Save Draft, we go back to our home screen. And we see that we have, down here at the bottom under drafts, we see that we have one draft saved. So what happens is the survey information that you enter gets temporarily saved in a draft form onto your phone. And then whenever you're back in a place where there is cell service, adequate connection to Wi-Fi, usually at the end of your shift or something of that nature, you can just click on your drafts, and the drafts that you saved here at the bottom of your screen will show up here in this screen. You select the draft that you want to submit. So we only have the one. And down here, we'll click open. And it'll take you back to your draft survey that was saved. Then you just go down here to the bottom, now that you have a connection to Wi-Fi or cell service, and you just hit submit survey. And then it wipes that draft off your phone and sends it to the command center to be included in the count. And we get a response, successfully submitted message. So since we've submitted all our drafts, we'll go back, and then we'll go back into our account to our home screen, and we'll see our 4 surveys, and we're ready to do another survey. And that's it. It's a really simple process, really. Now, again, please remember that this applies the same for a sheltered survey as well as it does for an unsheltered survey. But now let's take a quick look at the Unsheltered Person Observation Tool. This tool is provided for us to capture information on folks that are experiencing homelessness, but we may not be able to complete a complete survey for this person for whatever reason. Now, please remember that this is not to take place of a full survey. Survey data is integral to a successful PIT count, and the observation tool should only be used if a full survey is not a viable option. So we start the Unsheltered Observation tool by just tapping on the survey on the screen. And then we are again taken to our location screen that's dropped a pin based off our current location. Then we hit next step. And now we need to select while we are using the observation tool in lieu of conducting a full survey. So we do have to answer or give a reason for this. So I'll say the person was sleeping. And then we're asked to estimate this person's age. So I'll say 25 to 34. And then next we find a couple of questions concerning the person's race and the person's gender. Now, please keep in mind that we never want to assume someone's gender or race. So these 2 questions are only to be completed by someone who has met or knows this person, such as an outreach worker or a shelter staff who works within the county area or something of that nature. But if they do, we can complete this information. And like on the standard surveys, we also find a text area for additional notes. Now, once we've completed the tool, we can submit, and we can move on to the next survey. We get a response submitted screen, and that's it. That's how we use the Counting Us app for the West Virginia Balanced Estate PIT count. Thanks for joining me today. And if you have any questions about the PIT, you can always contact the PIT lead crew at pit@wvceh.org or your local county captain. Thanks so much for everything you do, and let's have a great count.